Hello everybody, this is Dr. Laralyn RiverWind, Naturopath and Master Herbalist, here talking to you today about COVID-19, the coronavirus. Is it all media hype, or is this truly a significant apocalyptic type event? It seems to me that many people are really falling into one of those two categories. One of the extremes is what they're looking at. And I want to talk to you today about how to know, based on numbers and data, if this is something to be concerned about or not. A lot of what we're hearing out there in the media is about a 2 to 3% mortality rate. Now, let's talk about this. In epidemiology and infectious disease courses, I learned about more than just the mortality rate that you're hearing about. In mortality rate figures, there is a factor of time that's not being calculated in the numbers that are being given to the public. What truly we should be looking more to is something called the case fatality rate, CFR. Case fatality rate is looking at the total number of outcomes and assessing the number of deaths in comparison to that. So I'm going to give you an example by giving you a visual. A building, and everybody who has been diagnosed with COVID-19 gets dropped into this building, suddenly finds themselves in this coronavirus building. Now envision that there are only two doors, a front door and a back door. The front door is the door that people walk out when they've recovered successfully from COVID-19. The back door represents those who've died from COVID-19 and are being ushered out to the morgue. So in this coronavirus building, you have one of two exit options. What the media is showing you is the number of deaths compared to the number of people who have ever been in the building. This gives an extremely diluted number of expected deaths when they're forecasting 2 to 3%, sometimes a little bit higher. The accurate way to assess the case fatality rate is looking at the number of people who have exited the building, so to speak. So you take the total number of deaths and divide it by the total number of people who have left the building. In other words, the total number of resolved cases. The resolved cases represents the sum of the people who have died from the virus and the people who have resolved successfully and recovered. You take that fraction, deaths over number of total resolved cases, and multiply it times 100 to get the percentage of case fatality rates. Now, let's look at several different countries to see what the current case fatality rate is. First, let's look at the United States. I'm getting my data from a website called Worldometer. It is a highly respected website that culminates data from governments and scientific sources worldwide. A lot of the media sources are getting some of their numbers from Worldometer. Unfortunately, they're not paying attention to some of the details that really need to be talked about. So let's look at the United States. As of today, March 22nd, 2020, there have been 574 cases that have resolved. 178 of them have recovered, and 396 have passed away. So you take the number of deaths, 396, as the numerator, and the denominator of the fraction is going to be 178, the number of recovered, plus 396, the number of dead. This gives an outcome of a case fatality rate of 69%. Perhaps this number gives you a better indication of why international borders have been closed, schools have been shut down, and there have been shelter-in-place orders issued by some government personnel. This is a very high case fatality rate. But let's compare that to other nations. Let's see what other countries are seeing. Italy, 12,500 cases as of today have resolved. 5,476 have resulted in death. So that number is the numerator. The denominator is 12,500, which is the total of recovered plus deaths. This gives a case fatality rate of 44%. Spain. As of today, Spain has 3,881 closed cases. 1,756 of them have resulted in death. 2,125 have recovered. So our fraction is 1,756 over 3,881 for a case fatality rate of 45. China was the first to see this virus in the public. China currently has 75,701 closed cases, of which 3,261 resulted in death. So the case fatality rate is 3,261 over 75,701 for a case fatality rate of 4%. Now, this number is, as you may notice, very different than the case fatality rates that we're currently seeing in most other nations. However, I'd like to offer another explanation for why the numbers of China are so skewed from other countries. According to CNN, 85 to 95% of Chinese infected with the coronavirus have been treated using traditional Chinese medicine. The traditional Chinese medicine being utilized is a combination of 20 different herbs, plants that have been studied, some of which have been proven to have effects on other coronaviruses related to COVID-19. So, depending on the province that they're from, 85 to 95% of the population of China who suffered from this disease has been treated using natural medicine. This could be an explanation for why there are such drastic differences in the case fatality rates of China versus other nations. While the pharmaceutical options to treat coronavirus are limited right now, there have been decades of research on traditional Chinese medicine and various plants and herbs used to treat coronaviruses. There's extensive medical studies done and really amazing results in treating things like SARS and MERS, close cousins of COVID-19. So should you be concerned? Concerned, yes. Worried or fearful? There's no use in that. Concern is kind. Concern says, I'm not going to go out when it's not advisable. Prudence and cautiousness are wisdom. Fearfulness and worry is actually detrimental to the immune system. So, trust, build your faith, and implement all of the natural ways that you know to combat this. Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Have the herbs on hand. Reference the video and blog I have on herbal ways to combat coronavirus. Don't worry, but be aware. Pass this on to the people you love so that they'll understand the seriousness of this disease. May you be healthy and blessed.
Segue. We at Firekeepers International have a mandate to help prepare people for times like we're in right now and also the times that are yet to come. If this video was a blessing to you, please consider becoming a monthly donor at firekeepersinternational.org. You can click on the link that's here on this video and help us to continue to put out content that is free for everybody to learn from and enjoy. Seneko Kakona, many blessings.